Instagram, I received lots of questions to do a Q&A, so I thought I would do it here on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to answer some questions that I've been given from my followers from over there. How should I get started in witchcraft? I'm so overwhelmed as there's so much info out there. There is so much information out there, which is a blessing, because when I started, we only had books to actually research from, and witchcraft books were really hard to come by. I'm before the internet, so we didn't have Google or Wikipedia or other witches to be inspired by. So my advice now for anyone who's starting out on this path to be a witch is to research as much as you can. Read as many books as you can and have a little journal dedicated to your knowledge. And I would document everything that resonates truly to yourself. There is obviously different authors out there that have different ways of doing things, different opinions on stuff. So don't get too hung up about all these rules and things like that you see going around social media, because it is very much a unique path. So as a witch, you are meant to be doing things that feel right for yourself, that's authentic for you, and of course what resonates with you. So just practice, research, learn, and just make mistakes, because you learn through your mistakes. I find it hard being consistent with my practice. Is there a way that you have gotten over the guilt from that? Yeah, there is such thing as the witch guilt, where I think, again, social media has this thing of sort of showing us this fake life as well as real life. And I try to share my things as how it is, as true life as possible. Obviously on social media is showing you that witches have to do all these things every single day, all day, and every full moon, every new moon, and every Sabbath, and any special event or celestial event that we have to do something. But listen to yourself, because if you're not feeling it, or you're feeling tired, or you just want to chill, you just want to watch a film, or you want to have a nice bath, then it doesn't have to be this massive elaborate thing. You could always just go and sit outside with a cup of tea and reflect on things that you've achieved, or you want to let go of, or what you want to call in. It doesn't have to be this huge ritual. It's just a moment of returning to yourself and asking what's true to you. So I don't have a guilt, and I don't want you guys to have a guilt either. If you're not feeling it, then you just don't do it. Okay. If you can do one practice today, what would it be? If I could do just one practice, well, it has to be my daily practice. My daily practice is where I wake the household up. I light candles, I light incense, I go into my sacred space, and I connect to my altar, to my ancestors and the spirit world. Then I meditate, journal, and do some oracle card readings. If it was going to be one thing that I was going to do more magically, then there would definitely be more sitting in the present moment, connecting and being honest with myself, and really feeling into what's actually holding me back. Where am I feeling resistance? Where am I holding fears? And I would do a release ritual, and I would burn into the cauldron and feel that, and journal about it, and be really true to myself, because I think there's so much stuff about manifestation out there, but I don't think we can manifest unless we clear out the old. There's always something that is holding us back or bringing us down. So I think the release rituals are very, very important. I'm questioning my abilities due to criticism in a development class. Any advice? Oh. So I guess you mean a spiritual development class. When I attended one of those, there is a lot of judgment and a lot of competition in those, in my experience. Might not be for everybody, might be very pleasant for everybody. I think really be honest with yourself. Have a look at what they're criticizing you with. Is it something that is a good criticism that you could actually use to grow and expand from, or maybe try new ways of doing things? Or is it criticism because that person feels that they are better than you? If that's the case, don't take it. Don't take criticism. Be sort of really reflect and sort of think, well, is that my truth? Does that person have a point? Has it hit a nerve because, yeah, they're right? Or no, I actually feel good about doing that certain thing, or I've done the best of my abilities, and that person just probably feels a bit in fear of you or a bit jealous. So don't take it if it's not true to yourself. Okay. How can you best focus on meditating when you have an ADHD and racing thoughts in your brain? Okay. That's hard. I mean, so many people have ADHD. If you're really wanting to meditate and have that practice, it is really, really good for your mental health, and it will help you so much. So just give yourself 5 minutes a day, or 5 minutes every other day, or 5 minutes a week, whatever you can commit to, or even try. Even like 1 week could be 5 minutes that week. It could be 5 minutes every single day, because you're going to flow through and allow your practice to flow with you. Also connect to your breath. Do some deep breathing, even if that's a couple of minutes while you're waiting for a cup of tea to brew, or just return home to yourself. Connect to the present moment. That's going to help you. Also, one other way of getting sort of thoughts out of your brain that really does help is, while I have a cup of tea and I'm feeling a bit anxious, or I just feel like I've got a busy mind, I'll bring my cup of tea into the lounge, I'll light a white candle, and I'll have my journal out. And while I'm drinking my cup of tea, so it's not very long, I will write down what's going on in my mind. And then I will look at that and actually ask myself, is this my truth? Does this need to be thought about? Does this need to be made into this anxious energy? Or am I being silly? Does this need to get rid of, like a release ritual? Or, how is it serving me? And then normally by the time I've drunk my tea, I'm in a bit better, clearer space. What should you do when you're given jewelry from a deceased person? Oh, you're a lucky person. With any jewelry that's come from somebody else, the same as crystals or anything that it has, well, how can I put it? Jewelry is like a talisman. It holds energy from different people, in my opinion. So I would either have a bowl of white salt and place the items in the salt overnight. That will help cleanse that piece of jewelry. If that item can be going into salt, I would also smoke cleanse the items, and also then I would sit with the item for a while in like a prayer, like hands, so place your necklace or bracelet or something in your hands, bring it to your heart space, and just really focus on, what you're wanting to place into that item of jewelry. My pentagram was actually my mum's pentagram, and when she was poorly and I moved in to care for her, I ran upstairs and put her pentagram on, and I haven't taken it off since. And I did cleanse that, and I did place the intentions into this necklace of how I wanted to protect me and help me on my path and help me with grief. But also I gave gratitude to my mum's energy of what she installed into this piece. So yeah. What's your favourite herb to work with? Has to be rosemary. Rosemary is such a beautiful herb. I've inherited my mum's big rosemary bush, which is outside the back door, and outside the front of my house I have smaller rosemary plants. I think it's so good for memory, for protection. It's also a wonderful herb that you could substitute. So if you're going through a spell book and there's a herb in that ingredient or recipe, and you don't have it, but you really want to do that spell, and you want to do that spell now, and you have rosemary. Rosemary is a substitute herb for anything else, so that's a wonderful herb to have. Plus, it's also lovely essential oil to smell. You can also harvest it, and I put that in with mugwort and lavender, and that's how I make a smoke wand, a smudge stick, but I call them a smoke wand. And it's beautiful then to burn when it's dry, fully dry, and I use that to cleanse my altar. How did you maintain your practice when your kids were little? It was harder. I have 2 children, they're 3 years apart, Holly and Harry. My mum brought me up as a witch, so when I had my daughter, well, both of my children, I wanted to install into them how I've been brought up. So I did little play things with them where they'd make little spell jars, little outdoor mud pie spells, and I would get them to use their imagination with that. But I would still them and ask them that, you know, what were they feeling, what intentions did they want to put into that. So that helped with intention setting. I taught them about the cycles of the moon. Also, the seasons, the wheel of the year was a massive thing with my children. So we would do family little rituals, which didn't really seem that far out as most people do with their children, but it was just a really nice family connection and bringing us all together. Again, I didn't have any guilt with not being able to do things around my children, because obviously, you know, on the evenings when the kids were asleep and I wanted to go and do a full moon ritual, then I could. And if I didn't feel like it, then I wouldn't. But I did manage it with my children. And obviously now, as they are adults now, they get to still do some rituals with me. Obviously more with my daughter because she's a witch, but my son does get involved. He likes to do Samhain and Yule with me. And he lives away, so if he comes home and it's around summer solstice or Beltane, he will be involved with things like that. And yeah, and just bringing them in and talking about how magical life is as well. Okay, last question. What is your favourite element and why? That's a good question as well. I think it has to be fire, because I find fire is such a wonderful element, because you can activate an intention, a wish, a spell, and that helps you with manifesting and empowerment and stepping into your power. But also I can use fire to go a bit more softer energy and more vulnerable and honest of what I want to let go of, and use the fire to burn away as well as activating. I also love a flame on a candle, and you can sit into darkness, and I use fire as well for divination and do flame scrying. But yeah, I think fire. So I hope you enjoyed that little Q&A. And obviously, if you have any questions, please pop in the comments and I will answer your questions best I can. And also sign up to my newsletter on my website, because I'm going to be launching something very, very, very exciting any minute now. And I don't want you guys to miss out on that. So blessed be everyone.